Hello YouTube, welcome to my Fire Mage guide from a PvE perspective. This is a beginner's guide for those that are just getting into playing fire, if not a mage at all. This is not for those that want to get into raiding. In this guide, I will be talking about basics of fire, skills, key talents, glyphs, and basic rotations. First, let's talk about skills. Living Bomb is a 12-second dot with no cooldown that explodes when it falls off. You gotta keep up these skills on your current target at all times, but you gotta let it fall off right before reapplying it so it explodes. Fire Blast. I'm going to assume that you talented Impact, which makes it so you spread all your fire dots. So I don't think there's a DPS increase by using this skill on cooldown, but it is very important to know how to use it on proc. If it procs early in the fight, meaning the first 3 seconds of the fight, I normally use it unless I have a Pyroblast proc just to spread the Pyroblast dot too. If this procs and my Pyroblast crits, then I normally combust, then use it, unless it's the pull right before a boss. Pyroblast. This is your most powerful skill, but I do not recommend that you cast it unless it's at the beginning of a boss fight. Use this every time you proc, it's your #1 priority. Fireball and Scorch. I call these skills fillers. They fill up the gaps between skills like Fire Blast, Living Bomb, and Blast Wave. But it is very important to know when to use which. I recommend you use Scorch all the time unless you have some kind of haste buff such as Time Warp. For 2 reasons. Scorch has a much faster cast, meaning that you have a much higher chance to get 2 crits in a row in a shorter period of time than with Fireball. And it is very important that you get those crits since your Pyroblast procs are a good chunk of your DPS. Combustion. This skill on a 2-minute cooldown is going to combine all your fire dots and create a bigger one without consuming them. This skill is extremely powerful if used well, so I'm going to tell you how to use it well. For AoE, you want to use this as soon as you have Living Bomb, Pyroblast dot, and Ignite up on the target. But before using it, make sure you have Fire Blast proc so you can spread it right away. For single target, make sure that you have all those dots up, but also wait for your Pyroblast to crit so you get a good Ignite. Now let's talk about some AoE skills. The only AoE skills that you're gonna be using are Blast Wave, Flame Strike, and Dragon Spray. Blast Wave, only use this skill on 2 or more targets just so you can get a Flame Strike down. Flame Strike, have this skill on your enemies at all times. Dragon's Breath, use this on cooldown only when attacking 3 or more enemies just for a little DPS boost. Now let's talk about some extra skills that will get you a little DPS boost. Flame Orb and Mirror Image. I normally use this in a boss fight right before I combust. I never bother to Flame Orb on trash, but it is not a bad idea as long as you time it right. Evocation. Only use this on an emergency. For example, when in the middle of a boss fight you run out of mana, which it doesn't happen too often. Armors. Molten Armor. Have this on all the time while in combat. Mage Armor. Have this on while out of combat and when under 30% mana if a fight is taking too long. Now let's talk about key talents. I'm not going to go over every single talent, but you can look up my Armory if you want my spec, or you can also look at wowpopular.com. Impact. This talent is a must, spec 2 out of 2. This talent will spread all your fire dots, including combustion, to all enemies within 12 yards of your target. Extremely important for AoE damage. Ignite. 3 out of 3. This talent will give you an extra dot, meaning more DPS by doing nothing else than what you already do. Hot Streak plus Improved Hot Streak. These talents are the key talents for the Fire Mage's playstyle. They will make it so when you crit 2 times in a row, your pyroblast is instant, and that's what gives me that rush when I play my mage. So this talent is not only going to give an increased amount of DPS, but also make it way fun for you. Improved Scorch and Fire Starter are 2 talents that seem kinda useless in PvE. But think about it. With Scorch not using mana, it means that your mana will last longer in long fights, meaning you don't have to change to Mage Armor or Evocate as often, meaning it's a DPS boost. And Fire Starter is very useful in fights that you have to move a lot or at all, because you don't wanna stop casting ever, and this makes it so you can do your whole rotation on the move, 100% of your damage on the move. Improved Flame Strike. This talent is a must for AoE damage. Only spec 2 out of 2. If you spec 1 out of 2, it's worthless. Those instant flame strikes are such a big DPS increase, and it makes it so you can still do your whole rotation on the move. Glyphs. Mage Armor. This glyph will make it so you don't have to drink or evocate as often. Just have Mage Armor on whenever you're out of combat or when you're low on mana. Molten Armor. This glyph will give you more crit, which is your most important stat. Pyroblast. This glyph comes in handy when you need your pyroblast to crit for a good ignite. Dragon's Breath. You can use it more often, meaning more DPS. Alright, to finish up, let's talk about rotations. For your normal common AoE rotation, start with Blast Wave, followed by a Dragon's Breath, then apply Living Bomb and spread it when Fire Blast procs. Then spam Scorch, keeping your Living Bomb up, and Flame Strike on the ground at all times until you get a Pyroblast and Fire Blast proc. Use your Pyroblast, then apply Combustion, and then hit your Fire Blast proc. For single target rotation, keep your Living Bomb up, spam Scorch, and hit those Pyroblast procs. Get a good ignite on the target, then combust and pop your mirror images and flame orb and an unused DPS trinket if you have one. You can also pop a DPS trinket before you combust to get an even stronger combustion, but there is also the chance that you're not gonna get a good ignite during that trinket. That's why I use it after. Also, for bosses that don't move much, you can keep Flame Strike under them. Alright, the last rotation in this video is gonna be another AoE rotation for excessive amount of mobs, and all you do is Blast Wave, Dragon's Breath on cooldown, and spam Flame Strikes in between. Well, that's it for this video. I hope you guys learned something and this helped you in one way or another. Feel free to ask any questions about this video or add info or correct me in the comments below. By the way, I know it's kinda late in the expansion to make a class guide, but I know there is some people that still need help out there, and actually what made me wanna do this was a guildie asking for help with their mage. Plus, even though there is lots of things changing when Pandan comes out, the basics will remain. Don't forget to like me on Facebook and follow me on Twitter, and if you like this video, help me out by spreading the word. Take care and good hunting.